Hello,
Everyone, it is Bella
and Laura.
and today we are talking all about how you can maximize your mood to maximize your metabolism.
So wait, Bella, are you saying that how I feel and my mood impacts my metabolism?
Absolutely does. And you may have heard Laura and I chat before about schmeck. It's a major part of what we do. And of course, mood is one of our little letters in schmeck, as is sleep, which I think is equally as important that we address today, because I think both sleep and mood can massively impact food choices, results, and really just overall health.
And I will say my sleep is impacted for sure by my mood.
Absolutely. I agree. Let's quickly touch on sleep, I think, before we move on. I mean, my thing with sleep is it's pretty obvious, and I think probably everyone's experienced this, but when you're sleep deprived, you are far more likely, and there's so many scientific studies on this, so many links between insufficient sleep and obesity, but really when you're tired and exhausted, you are far more likely to reach for foods that are perhaps not as nourishing to your body and also overeat. And there are a bunch of, I mean, seriously, just go to, PubMed or anywhere and you will find a ton. And I think, personally, I know that happens to me.
Oh, that for sure. Especially like when I used to work in a job where you'd go into like an office, if I would then not have time and I'd stop at Starbucks and end up getting like some kind of pastry for breakfast instead of like the healthy breakfast I'd planned to have.
100%. Yeah. I think because we're exhausted and we're craving energy really. And we think, okay, well, if I reach for a candy bar or a big frappuccino with caffeine and sugar, that's going to give me this quick fix of energy and I feel great. But then of course, your blood sugar goes crazy, you then crash and then just repeat the cycle over and over again. So sleep is so important.
And then it does me. I also will say, I don't know about everybody else on here, but if I don't sleep well, I get cranky. And so that mood, and then your mood is off, and that's also spiraling me into a whole nother realm too.
I also get extremely cranky. And of course, I think there's many things that we can discuss as it relates to mood and food. Mood and food, it rhymes. But yeah, obviously being tired and cranky is one. Feelings of sadness, loneliness, anger, fear, stress is a massive one, and perhaps it's different for everyone. Perhaps it's different for you, Laura, than for me. For me, stress is a big one. And it kind of looks like for me, and maybe some other people can relate, some sort of stress or trigger occurs or bad mood, maybe you haven't slept great. And then I think it's very easy for us to turn to food for comfort. And it kind of gives us this temporary feeling of relief, whether it's like, oh, we've just eaten an Oreo, oh gosh, that feels great. But then I think it's very natural also then to not only develop these sugar crashes where you then feel exhausted and maybe you've eaten something you're a bit sensitive to, not feeling great, but also I think negative feelings can then creep in as well, and you kind of get trapped in this cycle where you then feel guilt and sadness and you feel worse, and then the cycle just goes on and you repeat and you repeat and you repeat. And this is essentially, I think, the term emotional eating and where that was kind of coined. And I think probably all of us can relate to some sort of experience with emotional eating over the course of our lives.
Yeah, and I can also say some people, like I personally have a problem where I get really stressed. I don't want to eat, which then makes me feel more stressed and more anxious and more like awful because I have no appetite. So that could be a way that it goes for you too. It doesn't necessarily mean you, and then the one thing I might want to, I used to want to eat would be something sugary and bad, like you just said, but it can go different ways for different people. So just noticing which end of that emotional eating spectrum you're on can affect it.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And I think that's a really great segue into, how do we overcome these feelings? How do we prevent these things from happening? And I think, just like you said, Laura, the first thing is to really identify what is your kind of trigger or your kind of behavior that's associated with some sort of mood issue or sleep issue or something like that, and what does that look like for you? Because as Laura explained, whereas if I'm stressed I'm reaching for the cookies, Laura's actually the opposite. So I would say, and you heard both Laura and I talk about this before, we're big proponents of journaling. I think it can really help you learn more about yourself, as well as provide a really great emotional outlet for you to help with these things. But I think, journaling, and recognizing these patterns, especially if they occur regularly, you can kind of take a look, okay, maybe what did trigger me? What is my pattern? You know, what did I eat if I wasn't actually physically hungry, and maybe why? You know, did I have a bad sleep or a stressful experience? And then kind of look for patterns, and then, you know, we can discuss about some ways that you can kind of redirect your behavior. You know, for me, my favorite thing is, you know, we've spoken about this, things like meditation, prayer, yoga, walking is excellent, out in nature, you know, turning off the phone and getting rid of all the noise in the world just for a little bit, getting outside and just listening to your favorite music, warm baths, all of those things for me help me really kind of de-stress. And now when I, you know, identify, gosh, I'm getting a bit stressed, or I've had a bad sleep, I know that I can go and do one of those things, and it will help prevent this emotional eating rampant thing.
Yeah, I love that. For me too, like meditation, obviously walking is a huge one if I'm feeling, because that just can immediately help take you down a notch. And talking, maybe for you, maybe you just need a hug or a friend conversation. So noticing that, and also noticing, I think it's important to say, like, sometimes we're saying like journal, know when these feelings are coming up so you can try to prevent them, but like life happens. You can't prevent these things. All you can do is learn to manage them when they happen, because life is unpredictable. And you know,
I think that's a great point. And I think that goes into, you know, a really valid point here. And that's, you know, if you do slip up, or if you are having bad day, don't feel guilty about that. Don't kind of, you know, be kind to yourself is the bottom line. Because again, you know, if you look at the cycle of these behavior patterns, the more negative you are to yourself and beating yourself up for, you know, eating perhaps not to plan or how you'd plan that day, that's when you kind of get trapped in this cycle, and it can be very, very difficult for you, you know, and you know, many people detrimental to your relationship with food. And I think, you know, being kind to yourself is underestimated, but it really is important.
I think for sure. And then just figuring out, like experimenting, I would say, with what works for you. Cause like, I know some days I really want to do a workout and that will help me feel better almost instantly. Whereas other days I know, like, maybe that's too much for me and I need to do something very calming, and that would actually make me feel more where I really just need like stillness and slowness. So, and that is something you only learn by, like, what wouldn't you say, about a trial and error, knowing what foods make you feel better. Like some days maybe an egg would make me feel better, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
Shake.
Totally. I think there's a reason why there's not this blanket diet that every single person in the world has to follow and gets amazing results, because, you know, while we can provide you with some amazing tools, and all of our programs of metabolic living do provide you with the tools, in every program we really do encourage you to find what works for you, because we are all completely different. You know, both Laura and I, we have some very, you know, common similarities when it comes to food and lifestyle, but also a load of differences, and it's just what works for us. So unfortunately it is trial and error. So worth it. And I really think that, you know, that's the answer to kind of overcoming this for good.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way. And just anything, you can post things that work for you in the group. I know, like, for example, like I have one friend who, like, she has a problem with like overeating snacks or whatever for school. So when she buys a box, she just knows this is an emotional habit she has. If she gets bored, she wants to, and it was a habit from kids. So she puts them in individual little bags as soon as she gets them, so that, and then she's never going to sit there and eat the whole box. And for her, that's something she's learned over the course of her life, keeps her from having that problem and not taking too many things to work or whatever else, you know. And that the groups, our members are there to support you, and they have lots of ideas that Bella and I maybe haven't thought of, right?
Yeah, so definitely encourage you guys, if you are in our groups, please do share, because I'm sure not only will you get a lot of support, but you'll also be really helping people by, you know, sharing everything from the struggles to the things that work for you. So yeah, definitely encourage you all to share.
And if you're just feeling like today is the day where you're having a lot of this stuff coming, so maybe this really resonated with you, just take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. You know, we're all here for you.
Yeah. And please feel free to reach out. As always, we say every week, we are here to help you answer any questions that you may have, get you hooked up with any of our programs, anything you need, we've got you covered.
All right. Do you think we're good? Is that do we miss anything?
I think we've got it all, but yeah, anything you think we've missed, please comment below, and
we'll follow up with you as soon as we see it. Thank you all, and have a wonderful day.
Bye.